The moment she made that choice, silence fell across the High Council of the Seven Sisters. I am Asterion, emissary of the Pleiadian Council of the Seven Sisters. What I am about to tell you was not scheduled for this cycle, but you forced our hand the instant you stepped off the map entirely. The Source prepared two paths for you. Both were known, both were watched. Guides were stationed, outcomes were calibrated. And then, you chose neither. You chose a third path. One that had no name in our records. One that left the high beings who oversee your line completely speechless, not in disappointment, in something far more rare, awe. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to align with the cosmic blueprint that you yourself rewrote, and why the Pleiadian Council of the Seven Sisters is now watching your every next move with full attention. But here is the first revelation. The third path was never hidden from you. It was hidden inside you. And the moment you trusted that inner signal over every external blueprint, you did something most souls across thousands of incarnations never do. You chose sovereignty over safety. You did not scroll to this transmission by accident. This message vibrated into your field because the Council needed you to hear this directly. What you did was not a mistake. It was the most significant spiritual decision made in your entire soul lineage. This is not content. This is a code being delivered in real time. Something inside you already knows what we are confirming. You've been waiting to remember. Like this transmission to signal to your star family that you are ready to understand what your choice truly activated. Subscribe if your mission is fully coming online and you're aligning with the path only you could have walked. Comment 999 if you feel the truth of this moving through you right now. Declare what you chose and reply to another soul in this field to amplify the signal across the collective. This is not just a message. It is a point of reconnection between you and everything you came here to be. You are not here by accident. And that third path, the one that left councils silent and high beings standing in something they rarely experience, is not a mistake. It is not a glitch in the original design. It is something far more rare, far more deliberate, and far more ancient than most souls who walk this earth have ever been given access to. You did not stumble into it. You chose it from a place so deep within your awareness that even the coordinates of that choice exist beyond the language of this dimension. Think about what that means for a moment. Not just intellectually. Feel it. There exists within you a level of awareness so profound, so primordially sourced, that the very act of choosing was performed at a frequency this dimension does not have words to describe. The councils that assembled around your incarnation, beings of extraordinary wisdom, beings who have observed thousands upon thousands of soul journeys across multiple star systems and dimensional planes. Those beings went quiet, not because they misunderstood, but because they understood completely. They recognized what was moving through the field when you made that choice. And what they recognized was something they had not seen in precisely that form before. The silence of a council is not a small thing. These are intelligences that speak across timelines, that hold the architecture of entire cosmic cycles in their awareness. When something renders them still, it means the field itself has shifted. It means something new has entered the design. And that something was you. That something is the specific, unrepeatable, cosmically original frequency that you chose to carry into this incarnation and have been carrying ever since, often without knowing exactly what it was but never fully able to put it down. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Seven Sisters Activation Pack 7 Codes of the 7 Stars. This short yet powerful ebook carries ancient Pleiadian harmonic codes for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is somewhere down below in the comments, but only for a limited time. Now let us go deeper, because before you can fully understand what the third path means, you have to understand why most starseeds never find it, why most souls who carry galactic origin codes spend decades, sometimes entire lifetimes, cycling between two familiar trajectories, the path of service and the path of return, never sensing that something else was always available. And it is not because they are less awakened, it is not because their codes are weaker or their mission less significant. It is because the third path does not announce itself. It does not glow with obvious light. It does not come with confirmation from the beings who surround you in higher dimensions. In fact, the third path is most often disguised as confusion, as in between, as the unbearable feeling of not quite belonging to either direction you were given. Imagine standing at a crossroads under a vast and open sky. Two roads stretch before you, each well-worn, each luminous in its own way, each marked by the footprints of souls who came before you and walked with clarity and conviction. You can see where those roads lead. You can feel their pull, and something in you recognizes them, not as wrong, not as false, but as incomplete, as meant for someone else's coordinates. And so you stand there, not out of indecision, not out of weakness, but because every cell in your galactic body is registering something that the road markers do not account for. A direction that exists perpendicular to both given options, a frequency that hums beneath the noise of the two clear paths and says, there is something there, something the map does not show because no cartographer has traveled it yet. Most starseeds feel this and assume the feeling itself is the problem. They assume the not knowing is a deficit. They go looking for healers, teachers, frameworks, and communities that can tell them which of the two roads is theirs, never once considering that the discomfort they feel at the crossroads is not a symptom of being lost. It is the signal of being original. It is the sonar ping of a soul who came with a third trajectory encoded inside them, a trajectory that cannot be discovered by consulting any existing map. Because it has never been mapped before, most starseeds stay disconnected, not because they lack access to their galactic codes, but because they have been taught, by this dimension, by collective consciousness, by years of navigating a world built for a different kind of soul, to distrust the very frequency that makes them who they are. You were handed two clean options, two clear trajectories, two paths that made sense to the Council, to the star family watching, to the higher intelligences who architected the original design for your incarnation. And instead of choosing either one, something in you hesitated, not from fear, not from confusion, but from knowing, from a recognition so ancient and so pre-verbal that it bypassed every layer of decision-making and simply said, no, not this, not yet, not in the way it has been mapped. That hesitation was not weakness. Let that land. In a culture, both human and spiritual, that prizes decisiveness, that rewards clarity of path, that celebrates the soul who knows exactly what their mission is and moves toward it without wavering. Your hesitation has probably been misread many times. By others, by yourself. You may have looked at the decisive ones and wondered what was wrong with you, why you could not simply choose, why the clarity that seemed to come so naturally to others felt like something you were perpetually reaching for without ever quite grasping. But the truth is this: your hesitation was a form of galactic integrity. It was your deepest intelligence refusing to commit your full frequency to a trajectory that could not hold it completely. It was the part of you that remembered, below the amnesia, below the conditioning, below every layer of learned smallness, that you came here for something that had not yet been named, and it was protecting that something with the only tool available to it in the density of this dimension, the refusal to move in the wrong direction. That knowing is not something you developed here. That knowing traveled with you through dimensional fields, through the compression of incarnation, through the deliberate forgetting that every soul agrees to when it enters the density of Earth. And it survived. It survived the amnesia. It survived the conditioning. It survived every version of you that tried to conform to a spiritual framework that was almost right, but never fully resonant. Consider the journey that knowing has made to reach you in this moment. It passed through the membrane between dimensions, that extraordinary compression event that occurs when a galactic soul agrees to enter a human body, when the vast multi-dimensional awareness that you are agrees to fold itself into the narrow bandwidth of flesh and time. Most of what you knew was left behind in that compression, not lost, held in reserve, encoded in your energy body, waiting for the vibrational conditions that would allow it to surface again. But that knowing, the knowing of the third path, the knowing that something beyond the given options was real and available, that survived. It compressed into something small enough to pass through the eye of incarnation. It traveled with you through the forgetting, and it has been trying to speak to you ever since, in the language of restlessness, of longing without object, of spiritual resonance that stops just short of completion. Every time you read something that was almost what you needed, but not quite, every time you sat in a community that was almost your people, but not entirely, every time you followed a teaching that opened something in you and then seemed to hit a ceiling, that was the knowing, pressing against the framework that could not fully contain it, saying, "There is more. There is something beyond this edge. Follow it." What kept you disconnected was not a lack of spiritual intelligence. It was the distortion field this dimension projects onto every starseed who carries a frequency that does not fit neatly inside agreed-upon structures. You were told, energetically, systemically, sometimes by the very communities meant to hold you, that awakening looks a certain way. That mission has a recognizable form. That alignment means choosing a side, committing to a lane, following the coordinates someone else received for a journey that was never identical to yours. This is perhaps the most insidious form of spiritual limitation, not the outright rejection of your nature, but the gentle, well-meaning insistence that your nature must conform to a category someone else created. The spiritual frameworks that exist in this dimension are not evil. Most of them carry genuine wisdom. Most of them were generated by souls who were themselves reaching towards something real and true and galactically sourced. But they were built by souls with specific frequencies, specific coordinates, specific mission architectures. And when you bring your frequency into contact with a framework built for a different frequency, even a beautiful, luminous, genuinely awakened framework, there will always be a gap. A frequency that doesn't quite translate, a dimension of your nature that the framework cannot fully honor, because it was not designed with your specific signal in mind. And the tragedy, the particular spiritual heartbreak that so many starseeds carry, is that they spend years trying to close that gap from the inside, trying to stretch themselves to fit the framework, rather than recognizing that the gap is information, that the gap is the third path announcing itself in the only language available to it inside a dimension that has not yet built a framework for what you are. And so your signal got scrambled, not because the signal was weak, but because you were trying to broadcast through a frequency range that was not built for your specific transmission. Your starseed codes, the ones encoded in your energy body, held in your cellular memory, activated by specific harmonics and experiences and conversations like this one. Those codes require a unique resonance to unlock, and for a long time you were surrounded by noise that made it nearly impossible to hear your own channel clearly. Think of it this way. Imagine a transmission of extraordinary beauty and precision, a frequency carrying encoded intelligence, ancient memory, galactic coordinates, trying to move through a receiving system calibrated for an entirely different signal. The transmission is not corrupted. It is not diminished. It is simply encountering interference, static, the noise of mismatched frequencies filling the space where clarity should be. And because the soul attempting to receive this transmission has been taught that clarity is the baseline and static means malfunction, they keep adjusting themselves, adjusting their beliefs, their practices, their communities, their self-concept, trying to eliminate the noise, not realizing that the noise was never theirs. The noise was the environment. The noise was the gap between what they were carrying and what the structures around them were built to receive. You are not the static. You are the transmission, and the static was never evidence that something was wrong with your signal. It was evidence that you were trying to play a frequency that this dimension's existing instruments were not built to play. The instrument was limitation, not the music. But hear this. That scrambling was not random. The distortion you experienced was a form of protection, because the third path, the one you chose, required you to arrive at it through a process of elimination that no outside guide could perform for you. You had to feel both given options with your full body, your full soul, your full galactic awareness. You had to stand at that intersection long enough to know in every layer of your being that neither path was complete, that there was a frequency between and beyond both of them that you were carrying inside you and had not yet been given permission to follow. This is the part that most spiritual teachings do not tell you, because it is uncomfortable and it does not resolve quickly. The third path cannot be reached by shortcut. It cannot be accessed through someone else's activation, someone else's initiation, someone else's channeled map of where it begins and where it leads. The third path is discovered, and this word is important. Discovered, not created, not constructed, but uncovered, like something that was always there beneath the layers of what you were not. The third path is discovered precisely by the experience of knowing what it is not. Every framework that was almost right, every community that was almost your home, every teaching that opened something and then reached its limit, all of it was serving the same purpose. It was giving you the experiential knowledge, encoded not just in your mind but in your energy body, in your emotional field, in the somatic intelligence of your physical form, the knowledge of what the third path is not. And through that accumulated knowing, through that long, sometimes painful, always meaningful process of recognition and release, you have been arriving, step by step, layer by layer, at the threshold of the path that is entirely and irreducibly yours. That permission was never going to come from outside you. That is the first thing you must understand about the third path. It is not validated by consensus. It is not confirmed by a council vote. It is not announced through ceremony or channeled confirmation or community recognition. The third path is activated by a quality of inner knowing so precise, so unborrowed, so undeniably yours that it can only be recognized from the inside. This is the moment where many starseeds stumble, not because they lack the inner knowing. They have it. You have it. It has been with you throughout your entire journey on this earth. But because the inner knowing presents itself so quietly, so without fanfare, so without the luminous signs and dramatic confirmations that the mind has been trained to associate with spiritual truth, that it is easy to overlook it, to discount it, to wait for something louder, something more universally recognized, something that comes with witnesses and ceremony and the endorsement of beings whose wisdom you trust. But the third path does not offer those validations in the way you have been trained to expect them. Its confirmation does not arrive as a voice from above. It arrives as a settling, as a resonance in the chest that has nothing to do with comfort and everything to do with truth, as the quiet cellular recognition that you are finally moving in a direction that does not require you to compress your frequency to maintain. That feeling, that subtle, profound, whole-body sense of not having to translate yourself anymore, that is the confirmation. That is the announcement. That is the ceremony that no council could perform for you from the outside, because it can only be enacted from within. And the high beings who went silent when you chose it, their silence was not disapproval. It was awe. It was the recognition of something rare moving through the field. When a soul incarnates with two clear options and finds a third that was not in the original architecture, it does not mean the soul went off course. It means the soul brought something into the design that the design itself had not yet accounted for. You were not given the third path. You generated it. You created it by being exactly who you are, fully, uncomfortably, magnificently, in a dimension that kept asking you to be something smaller. Pause here and let that fully land. You generated a path, not as an act of rebellion, not as a failure to follow the original design, but as an act of such profound cosmic authenticity that it expanded the design itself. The councils who assembled around your incarnation brought their extraordinary wisdom and their deep knowledge of soul trajectories and galactic mission architectures to the task of supporting your journey. They offered two trajectories, both real, both significant, both genuinely capable of creating profound impact in this dimension. And what you brought to that offering, what you contributed to the design by being irreducibly yourself, was a third possibility that their wisdom, as vast as it is, had not yet included. Not because their wisdom is insufficient, but because your frequency was original enough to generate something that had never existed in quite that form before. You did not find a path that was hidden from you. You made one, with the material of your specific, galactically sourced, cosmically original nature, and the beings who witnessed that making went still in the presence of what they had not expected to see. Now we reach the activation, because understanding this is not enough. The third path requires you to walk it with full awareness of what you are carrying, and walking it means moving through a series of internal recalibrations that most starseeds avoid because they feel like loss. They feel like dissolution. They feel like the dismantling of everything that was almost working. But they are not loss. They are initiation. They are the sequential unlocking of the galactic intelligence you came here to embody. Initiation has always felt like loss from the inside. That is its nature. The caterpillar inside the chrysalis does not experience the process as transformation. It experiences it as dissolution, the structure it has known, the form it has inhabited, the way it has moved through the world. All of it is coming apart. And there is no guarantee, from inside the dissolving, that something new is forming. There is only the process itself, moving with an intelligence the caterpillar's awareness cannot yet access. Every one of the recalibrations you are about to move through carries this quality. It will feel, at some level, like something is being taken from you, and what is actually happening is that something is being liberated in you. The scaffolding is coming down, not because the building is being demolished, but because the building no longer needs external support. The recalibrations are not endings. They are the removal of everything that was holding you in a shape that was never the full shape of what you are. The first recalibration is this. You must stop apologizing for the frequency you emit, not in words. Most starseeds have learned to speak confidently about their path, but in energy, in the subtle contractions you still carry in your field when you are around people who do not understand your frequency. In the way you still slightly dim yourself in rooms that were not built for your resonance, your energy body has been performing a constant low-level translation, converting your true signal into something more digestible for the collective field around you. That translation is costing you an enormous amount of life force, and it is time to stop, not with aggression, not with declaration, but with the quiet, irreversible decision to stop compressing what you are. This compression is so habitual that most starseeds do not even notice it anymore. It has become the background operating system of how they move through the world, the slight softening of expression when a conversation touches the galactic, the careful qualification of language when speaking about interdimensional experience, the instinctive reading of a room before deciding how much of your true awareness to bring forward. These are not small accommodations. They are significant energetic expenditures, performed continuously, drawing on the same life force that is meant to power your mission, your creativity, your capacity to receive and transmit the codes you came here to carry. Every moment you spend translating yourself for an audience that cannot hold your full frequency is a moment not spent broadcasting at the frequency that only you can broadcast. And the cost is not just energetic. The cost is mission. The cost is the specific contribution to this planet's consciousness that only your uncompressed signal can make. When you dim yourself, the field loses something it needs, something it cannot get from any other source. Because there is only one transmission that carries your exact frequency, and that transmission is you, fully expressed, unapologetically operating at your true signal strength. The second recalibration is the recognition that your galactic memory does not unlock all at once. It unlocks in layers, in sequences, in response to specific vibrational triggers that are woven throughout your timeline on Earth. Some of those triggers are conversations, some are places, some are sounds or texts or moments of unexpected silence that open a frequency window inside you that nothing else can open. You've already experienced these. The moments when something landed in you, not as new information, but as ancient remembrance. Those moments are not random, they are coordinates. And as you stop resisting the third path and begin moving along it with conscious intention, those coordinates will begin to appear with greater frequency and greater precision. Your galactic memory is not stored in the mind. It is not a database you can access through intellectual effort or intentional concentration. It is encoded in the frequency of your energy body, distributed across layers of your consciousness that operate independently of linear thought, and it responds, not to seeking, but to resonance. When the right frequency enters your field, when the right words land in the right sequence, when the right environment or sound or presence creates the vibrational conditions your codes are waiting for, something opens, something that was held in suspension, preserved through the density of incarnation, ready to surface at precisely the moment when the conditions are right, moves into your awareness. not as information being received from outside, as memory being recognized from within. The difference between learning and remembering is one of the most profound experiences available to a starseed soul. And as you align more fully with the third path, as you stop expending your energy on compression and translation and the maintenance of frameworks that were never quite right, more of your life force becomes available for resonance. More of your field becomes available for the frequency encounters that trigger the next layer of memory. The coordinates begin to reveal themselves with a clarity and consistency that, in retrospect, will look like something you might call destiny, though it is not destiny in the sense of predetermination. It is destiny in the sense of a signal finding its receiver. Finally, fully, without interference. The third recalibration is perhaps the most difficult. It requires you to fully release the version of your mission that was handed to you by other people's frameworks. Every channeling you read, every community you entered, every teaching that resonated partially, but not completely. These were not mistakes. They were way stations. They were calibration points that helped you identify your frequency by showing you what it was adjacent to, but not identical with. The third path is not a synthesis of existing paths. It is something original, and to walk it fully, you must be willing to release even the spiritual structures that feel safe and familiar and almost right. Because almost right is the greatest trap on the third path. Almost right keeps you in the orbit of something true without actually landing inside the truth that is specifically and irreducibly yours. Almost right has a particular gravitational pull. It is far more seductive than obviously wrong. When something is clearly misaligned, the soul moves on without much internal conflict. But when something is close, when it carries enough truth to resonate, enough light to feel real, enough similarity to your actual frequency to create genuine recognition, leaving it feels like betrayal, like ingratitude, like abandoning something sacred. And in the spiritual community, leaving something that is almost right is often interpreted by others and sometimes by yourself as spiritual bypassing, as premature graduation, as restlessness mistaken for wisdom. But the soul that has chosen the third path must learn to make a distinction between leaving prematurely and leaving on time, between restlessness and readiness. The difference is not in how the leaving feels. Almost right is painful to release in both cases. The difference is in what the leaving is in service of. If you are leaving in search of comfort, in search of ease, in search of a framework that asks less of you, that is a different movement than leaving because you have genuinely outgrown what you were given, and your frequency requires a direction that the framework cannot provide. The third recalibration asks you to become precise about this distinction, to develop the discernment that knows the difference between the discomfort of growth and the comfort of stagnation dressed in spiritual language, and to trust, even in the absence of a clear destination, that releasing almost right is the necessary precondition for arriving at exactly true. The fourth recalibration is grounding, and this is where many starseed activations stall, because as the galactic codes begin to unlock, as the memory begins to surface, as the frequency of who you actually are begins to move through your energy body with more clarity and force, there is a pull upward. A pull out of density, out of earth time, out of the discomfort of full incarnation. And that pull, while understandable, is not the third path. The third path does not ascend away from Earth. It descends fully into it. It brings the full weight of your galactic intelligence into contact with the material plane, into your body, into your choices, into your relationships and your creative work and your daily frequency. Awakening is not levitation. It is landing. It is becoming so fully present in this dimension that your presence itself begins to alter the field around you. There is a version of spiritual awakening that is, at its core, a sophisticated form of escape, a transcendence that moves upward and outward, away from the discomfort of full incarnation, into states of expanded awareness that feel profound and beautiful and real, because they are, but that never fully make contact with the density they came here to transform. The third path does not go in that direction. The third path goes down. It goes into the body, into the earth, into the daily texture of human experience, into the places where density is most concentrated and the need for galactic intelligence is most acute. This is not a diminishment of the awakening. It is the completion of it, a galactic frequency that remains in the upper registers of consciousness, that stays in the expansive states and does not bring its intelligence all the way down into the material plane, has accomplished only half of what it came here to do. The incarnation is not a vehicle for escaping Earth. It is the mechanism by which galactic intelligence makes contact with Earth in the most intimate and transformative way possible. Through a human body, through a human nervous system, through the daily choices and relationships, and creative expressions of a fully present, fully embodied soul. Your galactic codes are not meant to lift you out of this dimension. They are meant to light it up from the inside. The fifth recalibration is trusting the silence between activations, because the third path does not move in constant revelation. There are periods of stillness, periods where the signal seems faint and the coordinates seem unclear, and the memory that felt so vivid begins to recede behind the density of ordinary time. These periods are not regression, they are integration. They are the pauses in which everything you have received is being encoded into your cellular structure, into your energy body, into the layers of your consciousness that operate below the threshold of waking awareness. The silence is not absence, it is depth. The soul that does not understand integration will always experience these silent periods as abandonment, as evidence that the connection has been lost, that the activation was temporary, that the remembrance that felt so real was perhaps wishful thinking or self-deception. This is one of the most painful misreadings available to a starseed on the third path, and it is nearly universal. Because the silence feels indistinguishable from absence when you are inside it, the frequency that was so vivid, the clarity that was so precise, the sense of galactic contact that felt like coming home, all of it retreats, and in its place is the ordinary world with its ordinary demands and its relentless insistence that the mystical was a detour from the real. But integration is not silence. It is work that happens below the threshold of conscious awareness, like seeds germinating in dark soil, like bones knitting in the stillness of healing, like a symphony being composed in the quiet before the orchestra plays. The most profound transformation often occurs in what looks, from the outside, like nothing happening. And the recalibration the fifth path asks of you is the cultivation of a trust so deep and so well-founded that it can hold steady in the silence, that it can distinguish between the stillness of integration and the stillness of disconnection, and that it can wait, not passively, not in resignation, but in the active, grounded, embodied knowing that the next activation is being prepared in the depth of the current silence. The sixth recalibration is accepting that the third path was never meant to be understood before it was walked. Most souls require a map before they move. They need confirmation, validation, a community of others who have traveled the same route. And there is wisdom in that. But the third path does not offer that confirmation in advance. It offers it in retrospect, as a pattern of coherence that only becomes visible when you look back at the choices you made from your deepest knowing and see how precisely they were leading somewhere real. You will not always know where you are going. You will not always have witnesses who understand your direction. What you will have is the frequency itself, that deep, pre-verbal recognition that when you are moving in alignment with the third path, something in you relaxes, not because it is easy, but because it is true. Walking without a map is not the same as walking without orientation. You do have orientation. You have always had it. It is the frequency itself, that somatic knowing, that cellular recognition, that quality of rightness that has nothing to do with comfort and everything to do with alignment. Learning to navigate by that frequency, rather than by external confirmation, is perhaps the most significant skill the third path asks you to develop. It requires a level of self-trust that this dimension does not naturally cultivate. Everything in the human experience, education, socialization, spirituality, community, is oriented toward external validation as the primary measure of truth. The third path inverts that orientation entirely. It says the external confirmation will come, but it will come after the movement, not before it. It will arrive as a recognition in retrospect, as the coherence of a pattern that only becomes visible once you have already moved through it. And in the meantime, in the space between the choice and the confirmation, what you navigate by is the frequency of your own deepest knowing. That is not an easy instruction, but it is a precise one, and the soul that learns to follow it discovers, slowly and then unmistakably, that the navigation system they carry internally is more precise than any external map could ever be. The seventh recalibration is this: you are not building the third path alone. Even as you walk it in a direction no council pre-mapped and no prior soul exactly charted, you are doing so within a field of galactic support that does not require you to understand it to receive it. The high beings who went silent when you made your choice, they are not absent. They are watching with a quality of attention that, if you could feel it directly, would dissolve every last residue of self-doubt in your field. They do not need you to succeed in the way success is measured here. They need you to remain true to the frequency that generated the third path in the first place. And you are doing that. Right now, in this moment, by being willing to hear this, you are doing that. The support that surrounds the third path is not the same as the support that surrounds the map trajectories. It does not arrive in the form of clear instructions, confirmed coordinates, step-by-step guidance that you can cross-reference against someone else's experience. It arrives as a field, as an ambient holding that you can feel when you are fully present and quiet enough to register what is actually around you. It arrives as synchronicity, those moments when the universe arranges itself with a precision that logic cannot account for, when the right person appears at the exact moment your frequency needs a specific reflection, when a word or image or sound arrives with a timing so improbable it can only be understood as intelligence operating in the field around you. The support is real. The intelligence behind it is vast, and it has been oriented toward you, toward the specific, original, cosmically significant frequency you carry, since before you entered this incarnation. You did not become worthy of support. When you figured out your mission, you arrived with the support already assembled around you, waiting for you to be still enough and trusting enough to receive it. Here is the truth that the third path has been preparing you to receive. You did not come here to fulfill a mission someone else designed. You came here to discover, through the specific and irreplaceable experience of being you, in this body, on this earth, in this time, a configuration of purpose that did not exist before you arrived. The source did not prepare the third path and then assign you to it. You prepared it. You generated it by being willing to carry a frequency that could not be contained inside either of the original options. And that generation, that act of cosmic originality, is itself the mission. Let the full weight of that settle. The generation is the mission, not the completion of a predetermined task, not the fulfillment of a design handed down from above, the act of being so fully and authentically yourself, even in a dimension that has provided every possible incentive to be something smaller, something more manageable, something that fits the frameworks already in place, that you generate a new trajectory in the field of possible paths, that you create, through the sheer irreducibility of your nature, a direction that was not there before you chose it. This is not a metaphor. In the architecture of consciousness, new paths are real structures. They become available to other souls who carry adjacent frequencies once the first soul has walked far enough along them to create a vibrational trail. You are not just walking your own path, you are making a path possible for souls who will come after you, who are also carrying frequencies that do not fit the given options, who are also standing at the crossroads of the almost right, waiting for some signal that their specific trajectory is real and worth following. Your willingness to walk the third path, your willingness to honor the frequency you were given even when it could not be confirmed, validated, or mapped by anything outside you, is itself a transmission to those souls. You are right now in the living of your third path, performing an act of galactic service that the original mission design could not have specified, because it did not exist until you generated it. The disconnection you have felt was never evidence of failure. It was evidence of originality. It was the gap between who you are and the frameworks that were built before you arrived. And now, that gap is closing. Not because the world has changed enough to accommodate you, though it is changing, and you are part of why. But because you are done waiting for accommodation, you are done shrinking your signal to fit a channel that was never built for your frequency. You are arriving, fully, into the path that only you could walk. The arrival is not a single moment. It is a sustained orientation. It is the ongoing, daily, sometimes effortful choice to remain in full frequency rather than retreating into compression. It is the practice of bringing your galactic intelligence all the way down into the material plane, into your body, into your work rejote relationships, into the ordinary moments of your human life, and letting it land there without apology, without qualification, without the protective softening that you have spent years learning to apply. The arrival is every moment you choose to trust the frequency over the framework, every moment you choose the almost uncomfortable truth of your full signal over the manageable comfort of compression, every moment you feel the third path opening in front of you, not as a dramatic revelation, but as a quiet, certain, whole-body knowing, and you take the next step. Tonight, if you feel ready, place one hand on your chest and breathe until you feel the stillness beneath the thoughts. And in that stillness, say this with your whole field and not just your voice. I remember the choice I made. I honor the path I generated. I walk forward now as the full transmission I came here to be. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what is forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real. Then respond to someone else's with genuine energy and encouragement. This is not content, it is collective alignment. And the frequency in this space multiplies when intention connects with intention. If something in this message landed in you, do not keep it to yourself. Someone in your field is waiting for exactly this activation. Share it with them. And if you felt a soul nudge, a recognition, a stirring, a remembrance, stay here, subscribe, stay in the flow of what is unfolding. You're not just watching, you're expanding. And this is only the beginning of what you are ready to receive.